I'm Ruby Carr, and welcome to another special episode of Encore, where we take a look at some of the iHeartRadio team's favorite Canadian songs from the past. And this week, we have the story of soulDecision, Faded.
You know the songs.
Just making people feel something.
It's been a pleasure to work on this song with her.
But do you know the history?
It's a struggle making any kind of record.
I don't always have the direction or concept.
This is Encore, an in-depth look at the stories behind the music. Here's iHeartRadio's Ruby Carr.
Indecision. That's what I was experiencing when I had to decide which one of soulDecision's Canadian mega hits to profile for this episode of Encore, that being Faded, or Ooh, It's Kind of Crazy, of course. Indecision is also what soulDecision were originally called when they formed in the early to mid-90s as music students in North Vancouver at Capilano College. Fun fact, soulDecision as Indecision actually had two non-album radio singles that definitely received airplay even before they had a sniff of a record deal, 1997's Tonight and Not Enough, the former of which has the single cheesiest video this side of Boys to Men. Seriously, they're dressed in oversized suits, bopping around like real cool dudes in what appears to be kind of like a jazz club, while video vixens writhe around all sultry via way too many 90s crossfades and wipes with a G-Funk inspired beat behind the lyrics, which of course read as the incredibly subtle, "Tonight is the night, we're gonna make it right, because tonight's the night, we're gonna make love." I'm sorry, it's just the best. I could not talk about it. Anyway, formed in Vancouver by Trevor Guthrie, David Bowman, and Ken Lewko, Indecision would sign with Universal Music and rebrand themselves as soulDecision, lowercase s, uppercase D, in 1999 as to avoid conflict with an American band who already had squatted on the name, or maybe, according to the guys, up to 5 other bands.
Now, I knew you guys as Indecision. Yeah. Now it's soulDecision. What's up with that? Why the name change? First of all, that's the first question. First things first here.
The name change. I'll let Ken handle this one.
Well, there's about 5 bands in the world that have the same name as us. So for legal reasons, we have to change it. Yeah.
But I haven't heard of the other 4. So why did you guys have to change it?
Well, because of trademarks and stuff.
Okay.
It would have just caused us a lot of hassles, and we end up being really happy with soulDecision. Actually, it's worked out really well.
Basically, we wanted to keep something that was close to the original name. And we just brainstormed, I guess, a bit, and we said that we wanted it similar. We wanted the decision in there. We're involved in every decision that gets made in the band. Yeah. And we make our decisions based on instinct, and gut, soul decision. It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Styled and marketed as a boy band for their year 2000 debut album, No One Does It Better. Seriously, if you look at some of the photos of them that exist online, you would occasionally have trouble distinguishing their look from B44. soulDecision were absolutely not one when it came to their sound, though, or their overall musical ethos. For starters, they were way more of a kind of soulful soft rock meets R&B hybrid than a straight-up pop group. Kind of like if the aforementioned Boys to Men met George Michael and then mashed up with like a little bit of Savage Garden. Certainly, as the band would quickly tell you, they were not the Canadian NSYNC.
Well, Canada's answer to NSYNC is not really... It's not really right, because we're actually a band. We actually play our own instruments, write our own stuff, produce and program it all, that kind of stuff. So
that's how we answer that.
I mean, that's flattering. Thank you.
It's cool,
it's cool.
Because NSYNC is ginormously huge and has that's cool. But the whole aspect of how we got here and how we do things, it's pretty kind of night and day.
And I can't dance. Well, I can't. I know.
Yes, as you just heard them mention too much, soulDecision wrote and composed the vast majority of their own music, with their debut album almost entirely composed either by Guthrie himself or the band as a whole. So it was actually quite a surprise at the time when soulDecision made the executive decision to fly all the way across the globe to Australia to work with Savage Garden producer Charles Fisher on their official debut album, No One Does It Better.
No, we met Charles. We were down in LA writing at the time. And we had kind of a list, because the album was pretty much already done and compiled. We had produced it ourselves, and we just wanted to bring somebody in to kind of upgrade a few things and change a few arrangements and stuff like that around. And he was on the kind of the short list of who we'd like to work with, because we liked Savage Garden. And he happened to be in LA at the same time. Went to
Jerry's
Deli on Ventura Boulevard, and we sat down. He listened to the CD, and he said, "Yeah, I'm in." And that took about 20 minutes. And the next thing we knew, in about I don't know how much longer later, we were flying across the Pacific and doing the album. So it was great.
The band would explain that while it was definitely a worthwhile trip to travel to Australia to work with Charles, they were actually providing him with a nearly finished product. The guys had been writing and grinding since the Indecision days, and if anything, Charles helped them scale production back.
We co-produced it with him. The album was pretty much 70 to 80% done, and we really just brought Charles in to kind of simplify some of the songs. We had a lot of really kind of complicated programs that overproduced. It was overproduced, really. So he just really stripped some stuff away, and we had some strings. So it was Charles has pretty much let us do what we wanted.
Yeah, I think there's a fear of ours too, because some producers will come in and put their sound on it, and you basically can go for coffee and come back when it's done. But
it will sound like a Mutt Lange record all the time.
Oh.
It wasn't a jab. I love it. Shania, you wrong. It's all good.
Woof, Mutt Lange catching some strays. One final point about SoulDecision at the time of No One Does It Better's release. They were a bit older. No shade at all. I'm just saying these were men in their late 20s. They were a man band. Despite their youthful appeal and aforementioned boy band adjacent marketing, it was actually refreshing how SoulDecision kept it real in interviews when asked about what they represented in terms of musicality and maturity. And judging by this next answer about ageism in the music industry, it feels like something that was a bit of a hot button issue for them.
I wanted to ask you about ageism in show business. What your opinions are on that, because it seems that if, we haven't made our mark by the age of 30, we're kind of over the hill.
I think that's a bunch of shit.
Dave.
Yeah, sorry, that's right. Politically correct. No.
Do you have any opinions on it?
No, I think my opinion's just been said right there. Whatever.
Isn't Ricky Martin over 30 and he hit large when he was...
Yeah,
I'm just talking about the whole trend in 17-year-old girls getting up there and strutting their stuff, and
I think it'd be... Oh, geez. Okay. I think it's kind of disgusting.
You do?
Yeah.
I think it's sad in a sense that people aren't viewed for what they can offer. They're not valued. It's basically, if you're young and you got these looks happening and stuff or whatever, you almost have more value than if someone they might be a little older, who might not be you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's too bad, but I think that eventually that if you really have some kind of talent and you really work hard, I think that'll eventually show.
Because I know what I was like at 19, and I was a punk asshole. And I wouldn't trade that, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. I don't think any of us would be able to be doing what we're doing now if it wasn't for the fact that we're, older than that. That's, you know what I mean? Just wisdom and knowledge that you gain along there. I don't know.
Okay. So technically the first single from No One Does It Better was the subject of this episode, the super smash hit Faded. But if you're currently yelling at your iHeartRadio app or other podcast app of choice, I guess... No, Ruby, I know I heard the song Ooh, It's Kinda Crazy on the radio way before Faded, and it's at the beginning of their music video. You would also be correct. It's true. An original non-album Indecision version of Ooh, It's Kinda Crazy was first released in Canada as far back as 1998, but was retooled and re-released as No One Does It Better's second single. So for all intents and purposes, let's roll with Faded being single number one. Sorry to all the SoulDecision truthers out there. Faded was released in December 1999 in Canada and May of 2000 in the US and internationally. By the time the song hit America, it had already hit number one on the RPM charts here in Canada, and SoulDecision had booked an opening slot with the one and only Christina Aguilera in North America, so success was expected and achieved. Hitting the Billboard Hot 100 in July of 2000 at number 94, it would eventually climb to a resounding number 22 on the charts and spent no less than 20 weeks on the list. Pressure that didn't seem to bother Trevor, Dave, or Ken.
Everybody's really happy.
Do you feel any kind of pressure if all these people are giving you so much attention that, you have to carry it through, you have to be the band that makes it for Canada?
I don't know.
We really think about things like that.
No, I mean, the bottom line is that it's either good music is good music, no matter if it comes from wherever, from Bangladesh or Canada or wherever. And we're going to let our songs do the talking, you know what I mean? So hopefully our songs are good enough that people are going to enjoy them, you know? I mean, that's all we can do. But do we want to kick some ass and represent Canada? Hell yeah.
It's not hard to see why Faded was a success, by the way. The song oozes charisma, it's danceable, soulful, futuristic, and groovy in a way that always kind of teeters on cheesiness, but I mean, it was the year 2000, after all, and it charms you all the same. Lyrically, the song is flirtatious in all the ways you might expect of, say, a Maroon 5 song, but with a sort of carefree swag, certainly not seen in the music of traditional boy bands. From the very first line, Guthrie makes his intentions known. He is going to move in nice and close, and ain't nobody going to interrupt his game. But wait, is that what he says? It took me a really long time, and I almost gave up hope, but after listening to countless re-uploads online, I finally found the mythical dirty version of the song track that actually subs in "Move in nice and close" with "Take off all your clothes," which, considering how we started this episode, makes so much sense. I see you, Soul Decision After Dark edition. But that's not all. There's actually another version of Faded that, despite being what I would assume was the official version of the track, has unfortunately been lost to the sands of time whenever you hear the song on the radio nowadays. Although it's usually replaced with an instrumental breakdown these days, around the 2-minute mark of the album version of the track, Faded includes a guest verse from Canadian rapper Thrust, who was most notably featured on the groundbreaking 1998 hip-hop single Northern Touch with the Rascals, Checkmate Choclair, and Cardinal Offishall. Thrust was also featured in the somewhat wacky music video for Faded, what appears at first to be your kind of run-of-the-mill cool dudes playing music video with intercut snapshots of the guys lounging at a swanky house party in a grungy apartment building and then performing in an enclosed studio room. Thrust has his own room as well, quickly devolves to include blink and you'll miss it inclusions of a lady blindfolding her partner and trapping him in a standing cage while she vacuums around him, a woman laundering money, as in hanging bills on a clothesline, guys playing indoor basketball, a frustrated and creepy writer at a typewriter crumpling pages, kids skipping rope, and an old lady taking sexy photos of a randomly jacked dude. Yeah, I don't know, man. I am tired. These Canadian music videos from the late 90s, early 2000s, they are too much. We need an entirely separate podcast to decipher these videos. I'm going to wildly speculate that the inclusion of Thrust's verse was a last-minute decision, especially considering on a Much Music special that featured both Soul Decision and Thrust just before the album dropped, they all confirmed they had not hooked up with each other at the time of the song's recording.
You guys didn't bring Thrust to Australia with you. Why?
We did not.
Porn for you.
He's feeling down about that. Because you know what? Because realistically, at the time, we really weren't sure who we were going to use. But then we saw the Rascals' Northern Touch video.
Yeah.
And we saw this man at the very end, and we went, "Oh,
that's the guy.
That's the guy." So
that video is like a staple here at Much Music. Every maybe second day you'll see that video.
Soul Decision would piggyback the success of Faded with the previously mentioned re-release of Ooh, It's Kinda Crazy, as well as third and fourth singles No One Does It Better and Gravity in 2000, before finishing off 2001 with final single Let's Do It Right. And all of the songs achieved respectable amounts of success, but none with the real cultural impact of Faded. At the 2001 Juno Awards, Soul Decision would be nominated for Best Album for No One Does It Better, losing to Bare Naked Ladies' Maroon. Faded would be nominated for Best Single and lose to Nelly Furtado's I'm Like a Bird. And Soul Decision themselves would be nominated for Best Group, again losing to those pesky Bare Naked Ladies. Unfortunately, Soul Decision would never be able to top the success they found with Faded and No One Does It Better. Despite going platinum, Soul Decision would leave major label MCA Records by the time they released their second album, Shady Satin Drug, on their own label, but the album would not turn out to be a success. In what little promo the guys did do for the album, like in the University of Calgary's student newspaper, The Gauntlet, Guthrie admitted that MCA and its parent Universal were giving the guys mixed messages all throughout their Faded days. He'd say, that was the whole thing when we signed a record deal with Universal years ago. They were like, we like the fact that you guys are a band. We like the fact that you guys play your own instruments. But then once the marketing plan came together, they put us out there and it was like, you're not marketing us the way you were excited about signing us. Which, to be fair, does sound incredibly frustrating. Dare I say, ooh, it's kind of crazy. SoulDecision would break up soon after Shady Satin Drug, but real CanCon heads know that's not exactly the last we'd hear from lead singer-songwriter Trevor Guthrie. Yes, as if from out of nowhere in early 2013, a stunning piece of trance pop hit the airwaves from legendary Dutch DJ and producer Armin van Buuren, entitled This Is What It Feels Like. And on soaring yet pensive vocals was the one and only Trevor Guthrie. The song was a massive hit in Europe and received a lot of support here in Canada as well, hitting number 6 on the Canadian Hot 100 and became a top 10 dance electronic song in the US, receiving a Best Dance Recording nomination at the 2014 Grammy Awards to boot. Guthrie has continued to work in the world of EDM post Van Buuren, working with the likes of Axwell and Ingrosso, Rehab, and Alan Walker. None have crossed over into the mainstream like Feels Like, but he's certainly become a fixture of the scene. As recently as this past July, Guthrie also posted a little bit of a teaser of a SoulDecision documentary for Faded's 25th anniversary, to which I say, guys, I found the dirty version of the track, so hit me up if you need the link. I'm Ruby Carr. Thanks for listening to another episode of Encore. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, because when I get you all alone, I'm going to tell you the stories behind your favorite songs. What did you think I was going to say?
Encore is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Download the free iHeartRadio app and subscribe.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.